deals on one of my listings. I'm like, Bill, don't forget to go out there today. He's like, dude, I thought our appointment was for Friday. I'm like, isn't today Friday? So that's how I'm doing today. And I texted him at 4:30 in the morning.
Did he answer you at 4:30 in the
He
morning?
did.
He
He
did.
did. Yeah, he's an Air Force vet, just like me. Gets up early, and yeah, yep.
So do you get up at the same time every day?
Pretty much. I get up around 4:30 in the morning. Pretty much every morning. On the weekends, I get up a little bit later, like 6. Yeah.
Okay. And is it just what time do you go to bed at night?
It depends. So it just depends when we get done with everything, because as you know, we have 2 boys. They're both in sports. With our youngest one lately, we've been rolling in like around 8:30, 9 p.m., homework, shower. So sometimes I'll get to bed like around 11-ish.
Wow.
Yeah, most of the time, 11-ish. Yeah.
So your body doesn't require a ton of sleep then to be optimal.
Power naps here and there.
Okay.
Yeah, power naps here and there, like in the afternoon.
So
Yep.
so tell the people that are watching us. I mean, we have a ton of mutual friends. We've been friends for, I don't know, years. Maybe probably know how many years we've been friends, but I want you to just kind of tell our audience who you are and what you do.
Yeah, Gail. So if you recall, you and I met in Marietta, Georgia. I believe it was October of 2015. And I've been following you on Facebook for about a year before that. I used to be a lender in Vegas for 9 years. Prior to that, I was in the car business for 6, 7 years. And I've always wanted to get into real estate, but I just never really liked the grind of real estate. And until I met you through the company that we're with, the relationship marketing company we're with. And I remember you speaking at this event, and we were sitting at a table with about 30 plus people, and you're like, hey, you know what? My husband, Steve, and I did 51 transactions this year so far, and we did it all by referral. And I'm like, how in the heck do you do that many? Because I've been watching you on Facebook, and I see that you're in Paris with your grandkids in Hawaii. and I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, wait a minute, that's an average of 4 transactions a month. And she's out there with her grandkids, her and Steve, like, how do they do it? And then when you told me next, I was like, wow, it was like one of those defining moments when you said every day I send 5 cards of appreciation, and I do my best to put photos of them, because nobody will ever throw a picture of themselves, their kids, their homes, their cards, or their pets away. Gail, when you said that to me, I don't know if you remember saying that to me, but when you said that to me, I've been a handwriting individual since 1998. I would literally go into my cubicle in the card business and handwrite cards. When I went into the mortgage business, I did the same thing, and my friends would make fun of me. But it was like when you said that to me, it was like a rewind from 2015 and 1998, and I never remember anybody, not including my mother, ever posting my handwritten card on the refrigerator. Ever.
No.
Ever.
And
never.
And let's just face it, having that habit to do is a lost art, and there's no way that I would ever fault anybody, because handwritten cards do touch hearts, they do touch minds, they do touch lives. But you're right, very rarely do they end up posted on the refrigerator. And it's because, when you add a picture to a card that you send to somebody, it's just giving them back a little bit of a reflection of themselves. And usually it's in a positive, happy scenario, light way, and it makes a difference. It makes us feel good to get a picture. I've got tons of cards back there in the corner. My friend, as a matter of fact, my friend Amy came to visit me. She spent 4 days with me. And I don't have the first card, but then there's this card. This card came with a picture of it.
Wow.
And then, her message, she caught me running. That sneaky girl caught me running when we were out on our walk. And then this card came with, again, not very many words, but you know what, Bryan? I'm never going to throw these cards away, because they represent a moment in time of my life when I had a connection and an interaction with a friend. And the feeling I get by looking at those brings back that moment. And so we have the gift to be able to do that with people. And it's just spectacular. And so, no, I don't remember everything. I remember that day. I actually went on your Facebook yesterday and I looked at, you know, how you can go and say, see friendship. And there were pictures from that day of you and I and Jordan Adler and Steve. I think, was Steve there? Steve, I don't know if Steve was there, but I remember being in Marietta, Georgia at that event.
Yeah.
I met my friend Nancy Gilfillan at that event. She's with Keller Williams. She's a great friend of mine. And so thank you for sharing that story, because how you said something yesterday on your Instagram, and I wrote it down because it was powerful, and I shared it with a couple people and they're like, wow, that's powerful. And you said, paraphrasing, I can't hear what you're saying because what you're doing speaks so loud. So share it. Like, it looked like you were out for a walk. So where did that thought come from, and what's your mindset around that?
What you say, I cannot hear it because what you do speaks so loudly. That's from Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I was having a conversation with our youngest son on our way to school. And we were just having, I'm not going to get into exactly what we were talking about, but we were just talking about that. Hey, you know what, Grant, people will show you who you are. They may tell you who they are, but they will eventually show you who they are if you just pay attention. And you got to let people be who they are and accept them the way they are. And then after that, I went to the gym and I was like, you know what? That thought just kept tugging at me. It kept tugging at me. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to share this with the world. It was a prompting, you know, what Cody talks about. And I just went on there. It was, I think, like 11 seconds, something like that. And boom, I put it out there and here we are. Yeah.
And I listened to it more than once. Because you said, listen to that again. And how true is that? You know, people whose video and audio match, you know, somebody's saying something, but they're certainly living a different, their video is not matching what their audio is. And how important is it? Maybe it's a standard in your life, it's a standard in my life, that I want to be surrounded by people who their audio and their video match. Like you said, accept people for who they are, because they show you who they are. But it doesn't mean we have to hang out with everybody, you know.
Right.
It means that we can choose the personalities that resonate with us, and you know, show me your environment and I'll show you your future. You know, you are your future of the, you know, what's the saying, the top 5 people you hang around with the most. You know, you become like them. So, you know, take a look at who you're hanging out with, and are your standards, have high standards, be tough on your standards, not on your people, because, you know, we can make the world go around with sharing our love and kindness and the responsibility we have towards other human beings. So, so Bryan, you and I were talking.
Speaking of standards, okay. Speaking of standards, so I was listening to something about a month ago, and it stuck with me because, you know, I always talk about habits. You know, you are a result of your habits, right? But we can have good habits, but if our standards aren't there, if our boundaries aren't there, in other words, standards come before habits. You got to have the right standards and boundaries for yourself in order to develop those habits within those standards. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's all about becoming. You know, you become the person that it's the be, do, and have. You have to be the person first. You have to, like, okay, I'm going to be a bodybuilder, Bryan. I'm going to be a bodybuilder. So who do I have to become in order to be a bodybuilder? Who did I have to become to be a great realtor? Who did I have to become to build a network marketing business? When you become that person, that's when the habits take over, like like your standards, and you create your habits to become that goal that you see out there. So I see the bodybuilder. Like, I want to be a bodybuilder. I want to see what that looks like, because I want to see what this body can do. I've put it to the test over the last few years. So I see it out there, but who do I have to become? And then realizing who I have to become, I have to be, nutritionally based. I have to have good nutrition. I have to move my body every day. I have to do the things, but I'm becoming that person through the standards I'm setting for myself and creating the habits around what that looks like, so that I can draw that goal and that vision into me.
Mm-hmm.
So what's a vision or a goal that you have for yourself that you're currently working on?
A vision and goal that I have for myself is to be able to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with whomever I want to do it with. And I'm doing it, and I just want more of it. And part of that is, and this is where I was heading in the beginning when you asked me what it is that I do. It's honestly, it's because of you that I got into real estate. And you actually inspired me to get into real estate, because again, real estate is, to me, was always my picture of real estate from a lender's perspective. It was always a grind. And as you know, Gail, listings is where it's at, especially right now. If you're working with buyers, you have no leverage. If you have the listings, you have all the leverage, right? And so by following your system, what it's allowed me to do is to be able to create a life by design and have another strong source of income, multiple streams of income. And in addition to what we have in addition to real estate. But I was telling somebody this morning, I'm in my BNI group, I'm like, literally, I only work 5 hours a week, like my real estate business. I only work 5 hours a week. And it's just 95% of my business is referrals, and I get to work who I want to work with, not who I have to work with. And most people don't understand that part. So like, if I don't want to work with you, I'm going to refer you out. If you're not, do you understand where I'm coming from, Gail? I mean, I know you do, because you live that.
Yeah. And you've pretty much had a referral business from the start, because you've set those standards in place, right?
Right. Yep.
And probably coming from your sales background, I mean, when you're in car sales, when you're in lending, relationships are an important part of the fact of doing business. You're just choosing how and who you want to do business with. And I applaud you for that. You've built it the right way. And I think there's a lot of people out there listening, our realtor friends that are listening. They're like, well, Bryan, how did you do it? Tell me how you. Everybody wants the magic pill, and we all know there's no magic pill out there. It is hard work. It's not really hard work. It's commitment and consistency.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm assuming then, as a real estate agent, when you transition into real estate, you took your habit of note card sending and you just implemented that along the way. And I know because you've shared stories of how you've connected and gained opportunities to work with people just by making them feel. Do you have one particular story that stands out?
Yeah, I'll tell you the most recent one. So we recently moved into our newer neighborhood about a year ago. And one of my, and as you know, we ended up getting a dog for our son, which it's like, I feel like a grandparent, even though I'm not a grandparent, because we've adopted the dog. Christy and I have we spent time with the dog, and our son Grant still lives his own life. He's actually running around here. But so my goal was like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and walk the dog in our neighborhood. I'm going to meet the neighbors, and I'm going to send them nice to meet you cards, and just build relationships. Just build relationships, not with an agenda, but just build relationships. And about 6 months ago, there was a gentleman, older gentleman, who always walks around. We see each other at the gym. And I just sent them, we started chatting. I sent them a nice to meet you card because I never knew his name. Sent them a nice to meet you card. About 3 months later, we start talking again. And we were just laughing, cracking jokes. And I'm like, hey, do you like brownies? He's like, yeah. I'm like, hey, you know what? Let me send you some brownies. So we take a selfie, send him a card and brownies. And that was it. Forgot all about it. 2 weeks later, I'm walking Apollo. And I see this, I feel a car just zooming by me, and he stops. He's like, and he looks at me. He's like, how'd you do that? I'm like, how did I do what? He's like, how'd you send those brownies in that card? He's like, that is the most brilliant thing that I've ever seen. So I told him how, and that was it. And we chatted for a little bit, and then I left. And as you know, we have the ability to brand the back of our cards, right? So when I sent him a nice to meet you card, it had a picture of Apollo and I. And then the second time when I sent him the card and brownies, it had my realtor logo on the back. Well, long story short, last week, I get a phone call from him. And he said, Bryan, my neighbor, because he lives on the other side of the neighborhood, my neighbor just knocked on my door and she asked me for a realtor recommendation, and I gave her your name. She wants to sell her rental home in the neighborhood. She lives in the neighborhood and has a rental home in the neighborhood. Next day, she called me. I met with her the following day. And here's the thing. I took a picture of the house and sent her a card of brownies thanking her for her time. This is where I think most people go wrong, Gail. Time is the biggest commodity that we have. And when we take the time to thank people for their time, they feel important because they are important. And 2 days ago, she sent me a text. She's like, Bryan, thank you so much for the card and brownies. And she told me she was going to interview other agents. Honestly, I feel confident enough that she's going to list her house with me. And when I sent her the card, I said nothing about real estate. I just thanked her for her time. And so that one's going live next month in June.
That's awesome. So yeah. I'll share a story. Because what you're saying, and I want people to get this, it's about living your life and being being who you are. So I was at the gym. I met Jeff. You saw this story in the group. I met Jeff at the gym back in February. And we were just talking. I had my app. I had my Steve Trzek app, and I was working out, and he noticed I had 2 different sized dumbbells. And he wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to lift them incorrectly. He was working out of a textbook because that's what he had. And he was back to the gym for the first time in a long time. He was really intrigued by Steve's app on the phone. He says, does he market that? I go, yeah, actually he does. So we talked about working out, and I asked him what he did. He said, well, I'm retired now, but I was a welder for years and years. I said, oh, you get along great with my husband. My husband, Steve, he welded for years, 30 years. And then he became a realtor. So all I said was he became a realtor. It wasn't the next sentence out of his mouth. He says, well, I need to sell my mom's property. She passed away. She's got an 80-acre farm, and I want to split some acreage off and sell the acreage and the house in a couple acres. And I said, well, do you have a realtor? And he says, well, I've talked to a couple people. So I said, well, I'd love to just give you our opinion. Have my husband and I come out and we'll give you our opinion. And that was, so we left on February 11th for Florida for 2 months. We were gone in our motorhome for 2 months, but I kept in touch with him. I sent him a card like you. I sent him a card and brownies. How did you do that card? That was so cool.
I'm gonna drive from the passenger seat, right?
Yeah. Well, we did go see the home and kind of got an idea of what he was looking for time-wise, but that's how we kept in touch. And so we're in Florida. He knew we were going to be in Florida. He found the farmer was purchasing the 78 acres. He had the survey. It was split. We were probably in touch a couple times in Florida. I sent him a card from Florida with a picture of the beach, just like, hey, just staying in touch. I wasn't attached. Here's the thing. Steve and I weren't attached to listing this property. What we were attached to is how we communicated with Jeff and how we treated Jeff. And we knew that our knowledge of the market, the house, the area, we do a great job for Jeff. We've been doing this for 16 years. And so, Jeff, we got home and we listed the house on a Thursday. We had 5 offers by Monday at 6 p.m. He accepted an offer. We're closing it tomorrow. All within,
Wow.
all within, but it's like people say, oh, you got lucky there. It's not about luck. It's about providing value. And
Yeah.
I believe that sending heartfelt cards and with pictures of the home, like this home's been in his family since 1948. Do you think it's kind of holds special memories? He moved out of that house when he was 16. And so, that's what we just get to do. That's how we get to connect with people on a personal level that takes them, that allows our business to happen. So be a good human. Bryan, you're a great human. You're a great human.
Thank you. I want to ask you a question. I don't mean to put you on the spot since we have people watching. You're like, uh-oh. and by the way, for all you guys watching this, we didn't even prepare this. This is on the fly. So when I first met you and Steve, you guys were doing about 50 plus transactions. And I know that you're all about owning your life. Most realtors do not own their lives. Their business owns them. But I've noticed that you've slowly but surely, I'm not going to say downsizing your business, but you're pretty much picking and choosing who you want to work with, and you're building and creating multiple streams of income so you can spend more time with your grandkids and create those meaningful moments. What did you go through? What thought process? Because most realtors are chasing the next one, right? And all of a sudden they have 20, 30, 40, 50, but they have no life. Like, what caused you to think the way that you think?
I've been a dreamer my whole life. And I've always dreamt of, kind of like you, owning my life, doing what I want, when I want, with who I want, and not thinking about it. So, and when I say not thinking about it, I go back to when we took our granddaughter to Hawaii. We have 9 grandchildren, so it's important for me to prioritize time with them. And I came up with this idea. I am traveling the world with my grandchildren. And so McKenna was the first to reach the age of 15, which we said when they reach 15, we want to take them on a special trip. We went to Hawaii. And one of my most favorite memories about that trip, Bryan, was, McKenna, what do you want to do? Oh, Grandma, let's just go walk the beach. Okay. Grandma, can we have one of those fruity drinks? Sure. Hey, get us a couple fruity drinks. We go out to dinner. McKenna, what do you want to eat? I don't know. Hamburger sounds good. It was the first time in my life, Bryan, that cost wasn't really a factor. I was there to have experiences. She went surfing. Okay. Then they said, Grandma, you should go too, Mom. I said, well, I'm not her mom. I'm her grandma, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that surfing stuff. But I surfed with my granddaughter in Hawaii, and I didn't have to think about how much does it cost, how much time do we have? We had a week to be there to do whatever we want. We went to Pearl Harbor. We read the menu from the left side. It didn't matter what was on the right side because we were going to eat what we wanted to eat. And experiencing freedom, that was experiencing freedom. And so when you get a taste of that, you work towards that. And Steve and I have worked our whole life to get to the point where we can enjoy this. We didn't know taking 2 months off. We bought the motorhome last fall, but Bryan, we've dreamt of owning a motorhome for 30 years. We put things in place. We put things in place, and we are willing to work the extra hours on on our SendOutCards business so that we could have the option of building that over time. We built that up over time. We built that business up over time while we were working the real estate business. While my husband worked extra hours at the bakery, you know, we've always been able to work and plan so that we could have the future that we want. We became the people that we needed to become, doing the activities that we needed to do, compounded over time. So now we have leverage of what we've created over the last 14 years that now gets to lead us into the next 14 years. And so it's a mindset around being willing to do more now so that you can do less later and have more of a life that you desire to live. I don't know. Did that answer your question?
No, it does. That's perfect. So I want to go ahead and piggyback on that because I mean we're both in sales, and in sales they teach us you got to have goals and you got to reach your goals and you got to strive for your goals. But one thing I've learned from, and I'm gonna admit, like every year I fall short of my goals, maybe because I just set them too high and I just fall short. And there's times, I mean, we're human and we get disappointed and we get down, but I learned from one of my mentors, one of your mentors, Jordan Adler. You know, he in his book Beach Money, he talks about he's never had goals. Like he's never, I don't know if you know this, Gail, but if you ever talk to Jordan, he's never had goals. He's always fed his dreams, no matter how little he had. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right now, with COVID happening, our granddaughter Zoe turned 15 last year. She'll be 16 in August. Our grandson Cohen turns 15 this summer. And on my bucket list, I made it a priority this year to plan their trips. We're not going to travel international, which we gave our grandchildren. So Zoe wanted to go to Korea. Well, I talked her into going to Korea because she's studying Korean. And I thought my friend told me Seoul, Korea is an amazing place. And I'm just not feeling comfortable about going out of the country right now. Cohen wanted to go to Dubai and ski down that indoor ski thing. And so see, it's building dreams in them. And now it's like, okay, define a dream within the United States, because we still want to take these trips. We still want you to go and experience life as a teenager with your grandparents. But we're just going to scale back a little bit and make that happen. It's on my bucket list. So I'm going to get on them. Come on, we're going to plan this trip. We're going to make it happen because it's important to me. So Bryan, I wrote down this question because I'm just really curious. Tell us, what do you feel your greatest accomplishment is so far?
My greatest accomplishment so far is, I would say, wow, that's a good one. I wasn't expecting that one. Is really, I would say, having control of my mind and my willpower. I would say that's probably my biggest accomplishment, because that's where it all starts and that's where it all ends, is here.
So how important is self-care to you?
Self-care? Mm-hmm. It's everything. It's everything. It starts with us. You know, just from the time that I was young. My mom is 75 years old, and I'm going to see her next week. Like, since COVID, I haven't seen her in over a year. She's in California, so finally I get to see her. And from the time that we were young, and she's a healthy 75-year-old, and from the time that we were young, she would always say to us, take care of your bodies, take care of your health, because when you get older, your health will take care of you. And then I got out of the service, got out of the Air Force, moved to Vegas. I was single when I was 21 years old, and I drank more than, I don't drink anymore. It's been over 10 years now that I haven't had a drink. But I drank so much. She would be, Bryan, don't drink so much. She's like, take care of your body. And she would always just emphasize that. And it's something that's from when I was young, that's just been instilled in me, Gail, is to take care of my mind, take care of my health. As you know, health is wealth. And it's where it all starts and it's where it all ends. And people don't realize it until they don't have any more of it left.
But it's never too late.
No,
So
no.
those of you watching right now, it took me till I was 57 years of age to make a decision to get healthy. It's a process. And you can live the hard way easy or the easy way hard. And what I mean by that is the easy way is doing what you want, drinking, eating whatever you want, having a sedentary lifestyle, catching up on all the Netflix. And I like Heartland. Okay. Steve and we watch Netflix, but here's the difference: spending your energy on yourself. And that was easy, going to the store, going out to dinner, all of that is easy to do, but it was leading me to a hard life. Like, I didn't want to get up off the couch. I didn't want to go for walks. I didn't have the energy to do things. And so I made a shift. And so for the last 3 years, getting my mindset right around nutrition, getting my mindset right around working out or just moving my body every day, that was hard. But now, 3 years into the future, it's easy. I can do those things with ease. And so it's not too late. I don't care if you're 75, 85, 45, however age you are, if you feel inside that you want to make a difference and make a change for yourself, you can do it. You can do it. And it is important because, Bryan, when you take care of yourself, do you agree that you have more energy for other people, more higher energy for other people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of like what they say in the airplane when they're, when they're doing the prep in before you take off, put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then save others. And that's something my mom has always taught me. And I thought it was selfish in the beginning, take care of yourself. But I'm 50, the older I've gotten, the more I realize that it's so true, because we cannot give what we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I see so many people lose themselves in relationships. They take care of themselves. They get into a relationship. All of a sudden, they've arrived, right? They get comfortable. They get out of shape. And next thing you know, they go through a breakup. They go through a divorce. And guess what? They're back on the market. I got to get back in shape. Why not just be consistent and do a little bit every single day? And I've watched you, Gail, since we met, like literally. I mean, I see the way you treat your relationship with Steve, with your kids, with your grandkids, with your friends, in business, in your health. And it's standards. In those standards, and the habits within those standards. Yeah.
You said the word selfish, and we like to rephrase that and say it's being self-full. If we're self-full, if I take care of me, then I have more energy to give to the next person and to others. And I was unhealthy. In my unhealthiest state, I was still successful.
I'm writing that one down. I like that one, self-full.
I was successful as a real estate agent, as a entrepreneur, but I wasn't necessarily fulfilled within myself. I was fulfilled externally, but I was not fulfilled internally. And I think because I didn't pay attention, I took myself for granted and I didn't take care of myself. That was being selfish. So turning it around to being mindful, taking care of us so we can take care of others better is a much more happier existence for myself anyway. My confidence is bigger and better because I've taken care of myself and I've proved to myself things that I didn't think I could do before. So I think most people fall short because they lose confidence. They don't have the self-confidence because they're not doing the little things each and every day that are leading to them growing that confidence over time. So I also, saw on your Instagram feed, you had this purple cow, and you said you can't stand out and fit in at the same time. And I read that, and I went and got this card because I have this card here that says that. And tell me what your thoughts are around that statement.
This book right here.
Yeah.
I love this book. I'm telling you, this book is awesome. And anyone in sales and business, they need to get that book. And it's all about branding yourself. I've always been a firm believer that you have to brand yourself and not your company. I learned that the hard way, Gail. I learned that when I was in the mortgage business. There was a year, I think it was 2007, when I worked for 6 different mortgage companies. And it was because, do you remember that website, Mortgage Implode? Dumb?
I don't.
Yeah, so mortgageimplode.com was a website that posted every mortgage company that was going under every single day.
Oh.
Yeah, so everyone would go on there. So one year I worked for 6 different companies, and I had my email with their company and my contact management system with their company. And finally, one day I said, enough is enough. I am using my own email. I am having my own system because I don't know who I'm going to be working for next.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't remember when I found the purple cow, how the purple cow came to me, but I must have been at an event, but it really, it stood out. And I teach that to my kids. It's funny because where we live, there's a lot of farmland and well, not where we live, but like a little bit outside where we live. And sometimes when I drive our kids to practice, we drive through the plains and we see all these cows, and it's a game now because now the teenager Preston, he doesn't he's on his phone the whole time with his headset. Little guy, he's looking out the window, and it's funny because it's a game now. He'll be like, Dad, do you see the purple cow? And it's like, it's a game of who says it first. And it's being different in a world where everyone is doing the same thing. What makes you the purple cow in your industry? What value are you bringing to the table? How are you being authentic? That's what it's about.
Wow.
But Gail, hey, I wanted to ask you something. So this Zoom Facebook Live was supposed to be about showing up. Remember?
Well, we showed up.
So what does showing up mean to you? Because you had posted something on Facebook, and then the word showing up came about, and then you decided, hey, Bryan, let's go ahead and talk about showing up. So what does showing up mean to you?
Well, so every morning at 7 a.m., I do a 30-minute body weight workout on Zoom, and it's open to whoever wants to join in. And it's the same link all the time. If you want to know about it, there's a group called You Call It 30, ask to join, and you get the links. There's several opportunities, but my slot is 7 a.m. to 7:30. And so I signed on the other morning, excuse me, and it was 7:01, it was 7:02, and I thought, I'm by myself. Well, I know 30 different exercises now. I'll just do it myself. And I was ready to hit record when Beverly popped in. And that was my thought. How are your habits defining you? And are you willing to show up for yourself when nobody else is going to show up with you? And I think that has to go with personal integrity, because it's a promise I've made to myself that I'm going to work out every morning between 7 and 7:30. I'm opening it up to allow other people to work out with me, but I'm showing up. And so you had commented on that. People don't show up for themselves. So
that's right.
So that was really how this whole conversation came together, is to talk about showing up, making a commitment, being responsible for what you say you're going to do. So yep. I say I'm going to work out, I'm going to do it. I say I'm going to drink 20 ounces of water before I have my first cup of coffee in the morning. That's what I do. I say what I do, I mean what I say, and I do it even when nobody else is watching. That's where personal integrity comes in.
Yeah, that's big. That's huge. That's huge. Yeah.
So how do you show up for yourself every day?
I just do it. I make a commitment to myself, just like you do. And, I heard somebody say a long time ago, commitment is doing the thing you said you were going to do long after the excitement of when you said you were going to do it has left you.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I was just having this conversation with Grant. On Saturday, he got hurt. He jammed his thumb. So the Monday, Tuesday, his practices were rained out. And then yesterday, it was on, and he didn't want to go. He's like, Dad, I'm not going to go to practice, but he's been out playing the last couple of days. And I'm like, why aren't you going to practice? He's like, because my thumb still hurts. I'm like, so your thumb still hurts, but you can play? He's like, yeah, but you know what? I just don't feel like really going. And I'm like, well, let me ask you this. What's your coach going to think of that? And he's like, well, what's the coach going to do to my thumb anyways? And I'm like, Grant, you and I have had this conversations about finishing what you start. You need to show up for your team. Just be honest with your coach and just let him know, hey, I don't want to do any hitting drills today, but I'm here because I'm part of this team. And he's like, fine then. So he ends up going to practice, but it's those little habits of just showing up, showing up like we did here. Whomever is watching this, showing up to learn how to become better at what you do. It's just a matter of just showing up, doing what you say you're going to do. I remember watching The Bachelor. You know that show, The Bachelor? Mm-hmm. The first one. I can't remember. The guy's name is Bill something, but he said something that I'll never forget, and it resonated with me the way what you said that one day about sending 5 cards a day with people's pictures on them resonated with me. He said in the first Bachelor, he's like, I always do the right thing, even if it means coming up short on my end. And I'll never forget that. And that's how I live my life. Yeah.
Awesome. So as we close out, because we've been talking for about 45 minutes now,
it's been that long.
I have enjoyed every moment of your presence here today. And I thank you for giving of your time to just share. Hopefully those of you who are tuning in can take away 1 or 2 nuggets. Like Bryan said, there's 2 defining moments, 2 things he remembers that happened years ago, things that were said. If something was said today that you go, bam, that's what I needed to hear. Take it and live it and live your best life, because you deserve to live the best life to your greatest potential. Do you not agree, Mr. Perez?
Amen to that. Yep, I sure do. I sure do. And it's everything you said earlier, as far as feeding your dreams and, just picturing the life that you have right now. It all started with belief. It all started with belief and feeding that belief.
Feeding the belief, and then just standing as a flower and attracting the life that you want to yourself.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So what are your parting words? What are your parting words to our audience today? My parting words are the 3 words that really stand out are from Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, is believe, conceive, achieve. Believe it, conceive it, and stick with it long enough consistently, and you'll achieve it. Amen. Bryan, thanks for being here today. We appreciate your words. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Gail. All right. Stop the live stream. And I'll